I am under no illusions that you are all prepared. The truth of the matter is that most of you probably are not yet prepared for even a medium-sized crisis in your area. A lot of you guys probably watch the channel for the news and for what's happening in the stores, but you may have not subscribed to some of the underlying root of this channel's premise, which is we want to help you guys get prepared for any crisis that may occur. Now, a lot of you guys are aware of what's been happening over in the Philippines, and a lot of you are aware that I'm moving over to the Philippines to get married. My fiance is safe and things are okay. Power's back on where she is. Praise the Lord for that. But one of the people helping out with this channel, able to help me with some of the updates and everything like that, is not doing so well. Their area doesn't have power, doesn't have water. A few of the members of this channel live over in the Philippines. I've met a few of them along the travels along the way, and some of you else have decided to retire in the Philippines or are living there for various reasons. A number of you guys are from the Philippines. For those of you who aren't aware, Philippines actually used to be part of the United States, and so we gave them independence when they asked for it, and I don't know, maybe they've been regretting that for a while, but basically everyone in the Philippines wants to come to the United States, and a lot of the people in the United States want to go over to the Philippines. But when tragedy struck on the island of North Cebu, we're seeing just some catastrophic situations, and it's just a reminder of what we are being prepared for. Just to share a couple of texts here from someone that we know well. We're under a state of calamity now, the mayor declared last night. We need to buy and store food and water, buy flashlight and power banks. I don't know where to start. We don't have water in the house. This is a real crisis. And just hearing that is just a reminder that one of the reasons why this channel exists is to help you guys get prepared for what's coming. Yes, okay, cocoa, we were warning you about that. The price was going to go up. A bunch of you didn't heed the warning, and chocolate prices went up, and you got bit by that one. Some of you guys are paying a lot higher beef prices right now because you didn't heed the warnings on that. But really, let's talk about basic steps that you can take to be prepared for a disaster in your area. FEMA itself says that you need to have food and water for at least 3 days, and recently they've actually extended that out to 7 days. Imagine your water stops working completely today. Can you scrounge up enough drinking water for 7 days for your family? Or is your family going to be scrambling to get water to drink and to cook with? One of the things you can do that's relatively easy as you stockpile some food is to buy food that doesn't require any water. So canned foods can be just heated up as is, and they don't need to have water put into them. Other things like canned fruit oftentimes has liquid in them, which is nice. Also, just thinking about, your everyday kind of consumption of, what are you drinking? Are you just drinking stuff that comes out of the tap that you're mixing with powders and mixes or whatever? Are you just buying soda? Or are you buying cases of water? Just having a few cases of water is not an expensive prep. If you go to Sam's Club, which is the cheapest place to get bottled water, it's actually cheaper than buying the gallon jugs. They go to Sam's Club, get the big multi-pack of generic water, and it's cheaper than buying jugs of water at Walmart, even the 5-gallon jugs or the 1-gallon jugs. It's just cheaper to get the big packs, and you can just set those aside, right? That's one easy way to have your drinking water taken care of. Do you have ways of collecting water, like rainwater? Do you have, Southern Prepper 1 has long advocated having a 5-gallon bucket and an umbrella, a clean umbrella that you poke a hole in the top of, invert it, so it's kind of like a bowl. It funnels that water into the 5-gallon bucket, and you have a rainwater harvester. So if you have some clean umbrellas that you can use for this, that's an easy way to collect water. I've advocated having clean tarps Having clean tarps that you haven't used for anything, they're still in the bags. You can open up the bag, lay out the tarps when it's raining to collect the rainwater into a bucket or into some other container. And then once it stops raining, you can fold it back up. You can store it aside, and then when you need to open it up in the rain again to collect water, you can do that again. You can spread it out on a roof. You can do lots of different things with it. Do you have ways of collecting water that's not drinking water? So like if you have a roof that has shingles and stuff like that, a lot of that has like tar and stuff like that. It's not the best to drink. Can you filter it out with a carbon, like a charcoal filter? You can, but why would you do that, right? But you need other water. You don't just need drinking water. You need water to clean with, water to wash your hands with, water to bathe in, right? Water to wash your plates and your dishes, right? So you need other water for other things, and you certainly don't want to use drinking water for all those other purposes. You don't want to be flushing the toilet with drinking water. That'd just be silly, right? But if you can collect rainwater from a semi-dirty source, or if you have a creek or a pond or some other way of trapping rainwater when it comes flooding across your property, you can have some other water for other purposes, right? So these are some basic steps to take. When it comes to emergency food, when it's a very short-term emergency, simple questions to ask. Do you have food? Do you have a way of cooking the food? Now, if you have food that doesn't need to be cooked, MREs or canned goods like canned pastas, stuff that's ready to go where you can just kind of eat them cold is nice. But then also, do you have a way of heating up some food? Because that's going to really raise your spirits, especially if you have power outages for any period of time. Having a little backpacking propane stove, or I really like the isobutane / propane stoves, where they can go on an isobutane, which is the backpacking stove canisters, or you can use a regular 1-pounder propane. And with an adapter, you can actually hook it up to a 20-pounder. So that's a nice thing there too. So do you have a way of cooking? Do you have some fuel to cook with? If you have a rocket stove, or if you just have some cinder blocks and you know how to make a rocket stove out of those cinder blocks, that is super helpful too. If you have Brics, there's ways of making that. Do you have that information at your fingertips? Do you have a way to access that information so that you can build a stove where you burn wood and cook, warm up water, boil water, or heat up your food? That's a big one out there. A lot of you guys, if power goes out, you have food in your fridge and your freezer. You're going to have to eat that anyway. You can just go straight into that. But you're going to need a way of cooking it, right? Because you got a lot of raw stuff in your freezer, a lot of raw stuff in your fridge, and you need to do something with that. I mean, you could eat the eggs raw, but that's probably not the best idea. You don't want to get sick while you're having an emergency, right? So think about those type of things. What are you going to do if your power goes out with the fridge, with the food in your freezer? Do you have a way of getting your fridge back on or your freezer turned back on using battery backup? Do you have a way of, a generator of some sort, whether it's a solar generator or a gas power generator? If you're getting a gas power generator, I would strongly urge you to have a propane gasoline generator, a generator that can run on propane or gasoline. By having the dual fuel, gasoline you can store for a long period of time, but it does start to gunk up, right? Whereas it stops being useful after a period of time. Whereas propane basically stores indefinitely. If you have a 20-pounder of propane, you can run a generator. That gas could be sitting, that propane gas could have been sitting there for 10 years in the canister. As long as the canister doesn't rupture, it's still good. So propane's really nice that way for cooking, for running your generator. That's my choice there. I like having cords of wood. If you have a way of burning wood, you can stockpile wood on your property, usually without too much trouble. And that's a lot of energy that you're storing up. That's good for heating your home. That's good for cooking with. So just make sure you keep the wood dry. Basically wood is great. Propane is great. Gasoline, less great, but if you're using it, if you're rotating your stocks of gasoline, that's fine. You use it for mowing your grass, and you can even rotate it through your car as well. Diesel is better, especially if you have a diesel vehicle that you can rotate your stocks with. And also be thinking about if the gas stations close down, and if you lose power in your area, the gas stations will stop working. If they don't have electricity, they will not pump your gas. So think about that. So no power in your area means no gasoline, no diesel coming out of the pumps. Can you still drive around to where you need to go? Do you have enough fuel on hand that can get you to where you need to go? If you need to get to work, if you need to go shopping, if you need to get out of the area to go to someone else's house to bug out, do you have enough fuel to get there? Think about that as you stockpile a little bit of gasoline or diesel or whatever fuel your car runs on. Perhaps it's electricity. Some of you guys are doing that kind of thing these days. But just be aware of those things. So being prepared means having food, having fuel, having heat, being able to cook your food, but then also in this day and age, most people need their cell phones, right? Most people are using their cell phones as the major communication device, and in power outages, oftentimes the cell towers still work, at least for a while. A lot of them have battery backups. You will find that after a period of time with no power, a lot of those cell phone towers will stop working. So be aware of that. If it's a critical cell phone tower, sometimes they will run a generator out to the cell phone tower and bring fuel and get the generator going so that the cell phone tower does have power so people can still use for emergency communication. If you're in the United States, that's something that happens more often, especially in disaster zones, because we've become so reliant on our cell phones that that's really an important critical infrastructure for them to get up and running right away. Now, if the tower's been demolished, collapsed, or damaged in some way, you may not have access to all the towers. You may find more dead spots than you did before the disaster. So be aware of that as well, especially if it's like a windstorm of some sort. It can damage the towers or the things hanging on the towers. But can you recharge your cell phone? Do you know how to recharge your cell phone? Do you have a battery bank? That is one of the critical items that you really should have. It's a small battery bank that you have charged up. A lot of times those little battery banks can charge up your cell phone multiple times, which is really great. You can use a laptop as a battery bank because it has battery in it, right? So if someone's throwing away their laptops or whatever, you might want to grab them because if you have the laptop charged up, it's got a battery in there and you can plug in your cell phone to the laptop and recharge your cell phone. So that's something to think about too. That's a cheap way. If you're getting a free laptop, you can use that as a free battery bank. But most battery banks usually will run you $20 to $30, depending if you get a name brand one or whatever. Just be aware that a lot of times these power banks are not honest about how much their capacity is. So they'll say so many X milliamps, and most of these ones coming out of China just lying completely about what the capacity of their battery bank is. So don't take that for gospel truth. You're going to have to test it yourself and see how much juice you can really get out of the battery bank. Yeah, but they're relatively cheap compared to other things. The idea that you can buy a device that can then recharge your cell phone in an emergency, but also it's a real convenience factor too. Who here is worried about whether their cell phone is going to lose charge before the end of the day? You have that battery bank, you throw it in your car, or if you're traveling, you put the battery bank in your bag, and boom, you can recharge your phone, and suddenly there is no range anxiety that you have for your cell phone anymore. All right, friends, that's like some basic stuff. Obviously, shelter is super important. I'm kind of presuming that you have some sort of shelter, but heating that shelter if it's cold, or cooling yourself if it's too hot. Those are important considerations too to be thinking about. So how ready are you for a natural disaster in your area? The natural disaster that happens in your area may be different than other places, but think about the natural disasters that could happen in your area. And the question is, are you prepared for those? Can you survive on your own for 7 days without any water, without any power, without any anything else coming into your home? Would you be all right? Would your family be all right? That's a question that if the answer is no, I would strongly urge you to go out, take some steps, think through power outage, natural gas coming into your home outage, everything outage, no power and no water. Can you survive for 7 days? If not, it's really, really cheap to solve a few of those problems right now. If you're not willing to solve those problems right now, please consider doing so, okay? Because that will make it a lot easier for emergency services and responders to help people, is if there's one less person, one less family that they need to help. And you'll be a lot more comfortable. And if you stock a little extra, you might be able to help your neighbors as well. Neighbors and loved ones who can't fend for themselves. All right, friends, hopefully that's a good food for thought. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. What else can people do to help themselves get prepared? That's really, really simple. Basic steps. All right, friends, we just got done National Preparedness Month, but let's keep thinking about that, because it's hurricane season in the United States and it's typhoon season still over in Asia. And especially with some of these natural disasters happening, I just want to make sure that everyone out here is ready for at least a natural disaster, and hey, maybe even more. All right, friends, thanks so much for joining with us. If you want to get some more information from me about what you can do to be getting prepared, there's a link right here on the screen. If you tap on that, you will come up with a list of things that maybe you can be looking at, or things that you can purchase to get yourself squared away. It's just something I just threw together there. But if you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.